And my name is Thomas O'Regan, and over the last 3.5 years, me and my wife have built an 11 property portfolio. If you are in Australia and you are looking to buy a residential property today, and you are looking in Victoria in 2025 to buy a residential property, one of the things that will give your offer an edge is if you make the offer unconditional. And look, let me caveat that with contracts in Victoria, and I'm not talking about auctions, but contracts in Victoria have a 3-day cooling off period. And if you make an unconditional offer, you still retain that 3-day cooling off period. Every contract in Victoria has a 3-day cooling off period unless it is taken out of the contract, and never have it taken out of the contract, but the 3-day cooling off period is a standard in a Victorian contract unless you're going to auction. And what the 3-day cooling off period means is within 3 days of signing the contract, if you choose to exit the contract for any reason, you can do that. Now, why would you offer an unconditional offer on a Victorian property today in 2025? Well, because an unconditional offer is a much more attractive offer. So you can if you are offering unconditional, these are the benefits I'm going through of an unconditional offer. If you are offering an unconditional offer, you can affect, like, your offer is more attractive to the vendor basically. So, and the only reason you'd use this is if you really want the property, um, and that's why you would offer. So in this market at the moment, the properties I'm offering generally is like 2, 3, or 4, maybe even more offers that are getting offered at the same time as my offer is going through on a property. And sometimes, yeah, so the best offer wins basically. So if say for example, if you compare my offer to another person's offer, and my offer has subject to building and pest inspection and subject to finance, which is something I always put inside the contract every single time to protect myself or the person buying a property. That offer that is unconditional will be way more attractive. But here's the thing. Here's the very important thing you need to understand. If I am offering an unconditional offer, I am not going to buy the property unless I actually have finance for this particular property. I'm also not putting an offer in on I'm also not going to buy the property if it doesn't satisfy to my expectations the building and pest inspection. So how does this work? There's no subject to building and pest inspection. There's no subject to finance, but there's a 3-day cooling off. So I must be able to get, if I'm offering unconditional, which is a more attractive offer, I must be able to get financial approval within 3 days, and I must be able to get my building and pest inspection report done within 3 days. And then if there's an issue with one of those two things, I will exit the contract within the 3-day cooling off. Now, if you exit in a 3-day cooling off period, you have to pay a small fee, which is ever is larger, either $100, I think it's $100, or 0.02% of the property value. And just to give you context, we put an offer in on a property this week, and the fee we paid to exit the contract because the building and pest report came back very bad was $520, and the property was $285,000. So that's how the fee works. But so let me just stress again: if you're putting in an unconditional offer, it is a more attractive offer, but you must be able to get the finance done within 3 days. And for most brokers, it's very hard. So you need to find a good broker, or you need to work directly with the bank. And when I say directly with the bank, I mean you need to work directly with a bank that can move quickly, because there's not a lot of banks that can get full financial approval for a property in 3 days, especially if you don't have pre-approval. So always get your building and pest inspection done. Always get your always get your finance approved on a property. And if you can do that within 3 days, then use that offer unconditionally if the property market is hot. All right, guys, hopefully that helped. If you guys are looking at negotiating on properties, definitely, and the market's hot, definitely consider using an offer like this. But just remember, you'll be at risk if you do not get the building and pest inspection done, or you do not get approved for finance before the 3-day cooling off is up. All right, bye. See ya.